Trump says the US won't be blackmailed as Iran has again closed the Strait of Hormuz. Despite reports that 2 ships have been hit, Mr. Trump insists peace talks are still going well.
We're talking to them. They wanted to close up the Strait again, as they've been doing for years. They can't blackmail us.
Also tonight, the Mandelson vetting row deepens as the PM prepares to face the biggest threat to his premiership. And England overwhelmed Scotland in the Six Nations rugby with a dominant 12-try win. This is ITV News
with Sangita Lal.
Good evening. President Donald Trump has warned Iran this afternoon that he won't be blackmailed over the Strait of Hormuz. Just 24 hours after the vital shipping channel appeared to be reopened for the first time since the war began, Iran closed it again after the US said it would not end its blockade of Iranian ports. Mr. Trump insists peace talks are going well. Sam Holder has the latest.
The Strait of Hormuz again at a standstill. Just a day after Iran declared it open, the announcement came it was being shut. Iran unhappy that the US naval blockade of its ports has continued, which the US says will remain until a final deal is made.
The Strait of Hormuz is in our internal and territorial water, and we have been always quite clear and crystal clear to everybody that as an anchor of stability, we would like to see this strait is open and safe for passage. Unfortunately, Americans started suffocating Iranians and tried to breach the security of Iran.
Donald Trump, though, insists things are going to plan and that negotiations are continuing.
We're talking about Iran later. We have very good conversations going on. It's working out very well. They got a little cute, as they have been doing for 47 years. Nobody ever took them on. We took them on. They have no Navy. They have no Air Force. They have no leaders. They have no nothing. Actually, their leaders it is regime change. You call that enforced regime change. But we're talking to them. They wanted to close up the Strait again, as they've been doing for years. And they can't blackmail us.
With a fifth of the world's supply flowing through the Strait, the news it had initially reopened led to a dramatic drop in oil prices. But it was always going to take days for shipping companies to have confidence in resuming normal operations. And it didn't take long for those ships that had dared to move to feel the force of the failed agreement. Reports say that northeast of Oman, a tanker fired upon by Iranian gunboats and a container ship hit by a projectile. In the space of a day, hopes for the flow of global trade returning to normal, at least temporarily, stalled. Sam Holder, ITV News.
Meanwhile, in Lebanon, the Iran-backed Hezbollah militia has denied it attacked UN peacekeepers close to the Israeli border. 1 French soldier was killed, 3 more have been injured. Correspondent John Ray is in Beirut for us tonight. John, it seems a fragile ceasefire. Can it hold?
Well, we are 2 days into this ceasefire in which neither Hezbollah or Israel were exactly enthusiastic participants, and I have to say the mood is growing more tense and even more unpredictable, especially in the south of this country, where Israel now occupies a 10-kilometer security zone, and where today it accused Hezbollah of a series of violations of the ceasefire and said it responded with airstrikes and with ground forces to eliminate what it called a terrorist cell. For its part, Hezbollah, a very senior official within Hezbollah, has been telling people who have gone back to the south of this country to try to pick up the pieces of their shattered lives, basically do not settle in your homes for fear of there being a resumption of the hostilities. The same advice going out to the southern suburbs of Beirut, another stronghold of Hezbollah. Sangita, we are supposed to be having talks sometime in the next week or so between the governments of Lebanon and Israel. But at the moment tonight, where this is all going to lead, whether it's the foundations of a long-lasting peace or a swift resumption of a war, that is really, really difficult to tell, whether we're talking about the Strait of Hormuz or here in Lebanon.
John Ray in Beirut, thank you. The Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, is spending the weekend preparing for a Commons grilling on Monday that could define or even end his premiership. The issue is the Mandelson vetting scandal, with many critics and some within his own party wanting to know why he didn't know earlier that Mandelson had failed security checks. On Monday, he'll have to explain to the Commons, while our political correspondent, Jasmine Cameron-Jaleshi, has more.
It's the appointment that has cast a shadow over Sir Keir Starmer's premiership. This time, it's a row over Lord Peter Mandelson's vetting. Despite the peer failing Cabinet Office checks, the Foreign Office granted him clearance to serve as the UK's ambassador to the US. The Prime Minister, who has now sacked the head of the Foreign Office, Sir Ollie Robbins, insisted he wasn't informed of this until this week.
But I wasn't told that it failed security vetting when I was telling Parliament that due process had been followed is unforgivable. Not only was I not told, no minister was told.
Peter Mandelson was appointed US ambassador in December. A month later, Ollie Robbins was made the most senior civil servant in the Foreign Office. Around the same time, it's believed Mandelson's security clearance was rejected, a decision that was then apparently overruled by the Foreign Office. When Mandelson was later sacked, The Independent released an article saying that he had failed vetting processes in the first place, to which Number 10 said it had been carried out in the normal way. It wasn't until this week that Downing Street and the Prime Minister said they had actually become aware of the situation. Allies of Sir Ollie Robbins say he's been scapegoated and followed the correct processes. Experts say both the government and civil service may have lessons to learn.
The reason that it is unusual is because the announcement was made before the vetting happened. Usually you'd appoint a serving diplomat, they would already have that developed vetting, and indeed the government has now said that they're not going to announce future diplomats until they've had that vetting, but you can see the pressure that might put on the system to ensure that vetting goes through.
The Prime Minister will address MPs on Monday, with many looking for clarity on what he knew and when.
Well, Jasmine joins me now. Jasmine, where does this leave the Prime Minister?
So all of this reignites those questions about the PM's judgment, and there's a really big blame game emerging, with allies of Sir Ollie saying that he's been scapegoated, while the government argue that this is a civil service failing. And there's actually been some further reports that two other senior officials, including the Cabinet Secretary, were informed of the matter earlier this year. Now, in a statement, the Cabinet Office told us they insisted that the pair took the correct approach, seeking legal advice and advice from the Foreign Office before informing the Prime Minister. We're actually expecting to hear from both the PM and Sir Ollie this week, and MPs are really going to be listening closely to see if there are any sharp contradictions between the accounts of these two individuals so central to this story.
Jasmine, thank you. Police are investigating an attempted arson attack in northwest London on a building formerly used by a Jewish educational charity. A man fled the scene in Hendon last night after trying to light 3 bottles of fluid near a row of shops. Police are not treating it as a terror incident and are not linking it to other recent attacks. A 4th person has been charged after 4 Jewish community ambulances were set on fire in northwest London. He's been remanded in custody. The ambulances belonging to a local charity were set alight last month. An 18-year-old British national appeared at Westminster Magistrates Court this morning. And a vaccine given during pregnancy which protects newborns against chest infections is cutting hospital admissions of babies by more than 80%. UK health officials say the jab offers excellent protection against the virus RSV, which can leave babies gasping for breath. To sport now. And world champions England set another high bar today on the second weekend of the Women's Six Nations Rugby. Before a sellout crowd at Murrayfield, the Red Roses were rampant in a totally dominating display of rugby, soundly overwhelming the Scots 84 points to 7. Here's Chris Scudder.
The good news for Scotland was that this was a record Murrayfield crowd for the women's game. But the bad news was that the flower of Scotland was about to wilt in the face of the rampant red roses. England's world champions have forgotten how to lose 7 Six Nations titles in a row, and they have one of the world's most ruthless try scorers, Ellie Kildunn. The former World Player of the Year was a key player in England winning the World Cup last year, and 2 more tries here took her international tally to 50. No wonder she has a legion of adoring fans. Scotland regrouped, but it made little difference. England were at their scintillating best, with the veteran Marley Packer enjoying a new lease of life. England scored 12 tries, and no one can stop them. They've now won 35 tests in a row on their way to what looks a likely 8th straight Six Nations title. Chris Scudder, ITV News.
Exactly 10 years after their shock Premier League title victory, it's looking increasingly likely Leicester City will start next season in the 3rd tier. This afternoon's 1-0 defeat at Portsmouth leaves the Foxes 8 points from Championship safety with just 3 games left to play. Relegation to League One will be confirmed if they fail to beat Hull City on Tuesday. And in the Premier League, Brentford's European ambitions took a blow as they were held to a goalless draw. And finally, what do potatoes, peacock feathers and electrical waste all have in common? The answer is they could be the solution to the dilemma of the fast fashion industry. Namely, how to stay relevant in an age of recycling where pre-loved is the new. Well, our science correspondent Martin Stew has discovered they are all being used to make clothes we might all be wearing one day.
The jacket and skirt in plastic.
The future of fashion in the 60s.
And then we have a plastic Macintosh.
Was synthetic.
The sort of material that they use for covering kitchen tables.
Tomorrow's world's vision is the opposite of today's aspirations on display at Imperial College. The challenge to use science to make beautiful sustainable.
So we work with farmers, we collect their waste streams.
From pullovers made from potatoes.
And we use our unique processes to create a cotton alternative that uses 99% less water.
To earrings from reused gold in electrical waste. This year's colour is green.
Sustainability is not just a fad, but it's a really important choice that we need to make.
This is the future of fashion.
Eco-fabrics have already got the seal of approval from fashion and real-life royalty.
It's all sustainable and there's no reason to sacrifice any style.
Stella McCartney's sequins are now plastic and metal-free, thanks to natural imitation.
Structural colour exists in things like beetle wings, in peacock feathers. It's what makes this metallic coloration. So we take that inspiration and we build materials that are fit for industry. They're made from cellulose.
At startup Selena, they've gone a step further, using AI to design brand new proteins from scratch, grow them using eco-friendly fermentation, and weave them into plastic-free yarn.
Our materials have the advantages of natural materials, so the moisture management and the soft hand feel, but also with the advantages of synthetic materials, the high tensile strength.
Making these materials affordable requires production to scale up, or, in the case of Petit Plis, the clothes themselves to grow, using folding technology borrowed from space satellites.
138 million items of children's clothing go to waste. We're tackling that by creating a garment that grows through those 7 sizes and can be used for much longer.
This thing doesn't fit.
I'm adjusting. Fit.
The ideas may sound like something from a sci-fi movie, but are already showing in high streets rather than cinemas near you. Martin Stew, ITV News.
And that's all for now. I'm back with the late news at 10 to 11. Until then, though, have a very lovely rest of your evening. Goodbye.